Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday morning. It was supposed to be Friday afternoon, but then this happened. Yes, I won. Like how I did that little cliffhanger there. Look, I can't even be. I was talking to the audience, wife, not so secret wife. Thought I was talking to her. So I made videos almost every single day this week, and then I thought I was gonna make one Friday afternoon, but then Friday afternoon was crazy town in school. So I had this one weird class on Fridays where I had the students come in for like 25 minutes or something like that, and then they leave and go to lunch, and then they come back. And if you have little ones, I guess that's normal, but in high school, it's weird. And they are tuned when they come back in. So they had a test to take yesterday, and then this week has been a lot of other teachers coming to me and asking me to speak to students. And on 2 different occasions, I was told, hey Reynolds, can you come work your magic? Which, I mean, I just made me feel really nice. I just liked that that someone recognized that I'm good at that and that I could help them in some way. And I think that that's part of what being part of a teacher community is that when you need help, when you need something from someone, it's really nice when you can reach out to someone and like note the good thing about them that you know they're good at. And it's also, you know, great to hear that from someone as well. Look at this. I got like Saturday hair. This is insane. The kids are making obstacle courses in the living room and skateboarding through them, which makes my house sound a lot wilder than it actually is. But so I'm in Marley's like art section. We've clearly been making a lot of slime back here. I left school immediately at the end of the day after I straightened up because I just needed a break. And then I come home and I thought it was going to be peaceful and nice. My wife went out to help a friend with the issue, and then I'm showing you right now. We call this look getting chode because my friend Miss Cho does it all the time. Then I came home, forgot my wife was going out with someone. Marley didn't feel well, so I ended up like doing too much, and I gave her let her do a bubble bath, and we put music on, and I lit a candle. And really, I'm the one that needed the music on and the candle and the bubble bath last night, but my daughter got one. Then I laid with her for a while. Then it was just like one of those nights when your kids need 100 things. And so I didn't even get to make this video last night. Sometimes life's just hard. Let's play some sad music real quick. Sometimes life's just difficult. When you're a not-so-single dad, your wife's out being willy-nilly at Starbucks, talking about dyslexia with people. You gotta get your kids their ice cream and give them bubble baths. I had to pet the dog for a long time last night. It's the struggles of a not-so-single dad.
Stop saying that.
Listen, I'm talking about not-so-single dad struggles in here.
You're not a single dad.
Sometimes I feel like a not-so-single dad.
What is that saying about your wife?
Come on. You know I love you. I would like to talk about 2 things real quick that I think will be of use to you. One came up in a conversation I did with a guy the other day, called me on the phone, and was saying how sometimes it is aggravating to him and his friends to look at teachers on YouTube and on Instagram because he just thinks there's no way these people ever have a bad day. And I thought, it does look like that. It looks like we're living the dream. It looks like, I think it looks like all the good stuff. And so although I try to share the tough stuff, you know, there's 270 videos or something like that out on my channel right now. So it can get lost in there. I don't know. I understand though how that can look. Let me just take a second and break down my day yesterday a little bit because it was anything but normal. I had everything happen in class from no one listening to me to me giving very clear, concise directions, or at least that's what I thought I was doing, to nobody paying attention to them, to people not doing work, to people touching each other, to people wanting to play fight, to having kids in the hallway that hit against my wall so hard sometimes that the entire wall shakes, which makes my whole class like lose concentration. I had sad kids, I had mad kids, I had kids that got stuff stolen. It was like just one of those days where you're like, where do I find it in me to even survive the day? And the whole reason I'm just telling you that is it happens to me also, right? Like the teachers on YouTube, no one's just living the dream all the time. There's stuff that they're dealing with also. And so I just wanted to share that with you. Now, maybe the difference between some other teachers and where you're standing currently, right? Not saying they're any better, but like when you live this life for a longer time, I think you just start learning strategies and tips and tricks to to be on offense, like I talked about in a recent video, to be on offense and not on defense all the time. The whole thing is not as bad as you think it is. Most things are just not as bad as we think that they are. So I really just want you to know, look, YouTubers always make it real close when they want to make like a personal connection or something like that. Let's do that. Things are not as bad as you think they are, and you're doing a better job than you probably realize. Just stick with it. It will be okay. I promise. All right, now I want to give you some practical tips on how to give a test, or what I do when I give tests in my class, because I think this is something I've learned some things about. I've stolen some ideas from other people as usual, and I just want to help you out in that area real quick. So here's like a quick 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tips or so on how I give tests in my class. Wrote it down on this cute Christmas paper. 1. My test days are routine. Days that can be routine, the kids are not surprised about what's coming up. They don't even have to hear your directions all the time because they have lived them so many times. It's like muscle memory. So in anything that you do with testing, I think building in a routine helps. One of those routines is, I have it up on my whiteboard, that you, like, what exactly you're supposed to be doing and what you can expect for the day. And that usually includes about 60 seconds of study time. It's usually longer than 60 seconds, but I just say 60 seconds and whatever. However, if you're late to class, you like cut out that time. So like if you showed up late, then now you don't get that time to study. And to be honest, you get enough study time anyway. I'm just trying to I think the study time is more about giving kids a moment to like settle in, take a breath, and ready their mind for the test. And not so much, like you don't really learn that much in those 60 seconds or 2 minutes, but you're just mentally preparing for the time. If someone comes unprepared with a pen or pencil, I tell them to ask a friend first, and if they don't have one, then I just give them one. I'm not interested in like taking a long time giving someone a lecture about why they didn't bring a pen or pencil. I've talked about this before. I think in life, if I forget a pen or a pencil, when I'm at the bank doesn't get mad at me. They just give me one of those crappy TD Bank pencils, or pens, because they don't have pencils there, although that would be interesting. Anyway, there is 0 talking when I give a test. If you talk, you get a 0, and here's why. This has nothing to do with me trying to have control over the children or whatever. It really has something to do with students having a hard time concentrating, and that if someone's talking or goofing around or saying something, it's like, one, I don't know if you're cheating. Like you could be asking what the answer is to a question, but I don't know that. And I find that some kids just get really distracted and they start feeling anxious when they know other people around them are finishing. And I'll get to that in a moment, but it has to be 100% quiet in my room. We're leveling the playing field as much as possible with it being quiet. Now, that being said, if you talk, I give you a 0. And there's always some sacrificial lamb that talks, that thinks they're going to get away with it, that wants to push my boundaries and see how far they can get. So, bam, 0. Now, you can come and retake the test, but for right now, you just got yourself a 0. Because I found that if I don't do that, if I leave any room open for talking, then the inch becomes a mile, and I don't want that to happen. So the guys all know. I talked to them about why this is important, and yes, I realize that you studied for the test, and yes, I realize that I should be giving you this assessment to see how much you learned, but what I can't have is madness in the classroom. I refuse, because it hurts other students' chances at doing well on the test. And this has to happen like one time a kid gets a 0 typically during the year, and then it never happens again. Then, fun weird fact, I float the papers to my students. I'm not exactly sure how I'm capable of doing this, but the papers will float if you float them to kids. And here's a not very good video of me doing that, but like is hilarious every single time. And it's always about infusing magic into the classroom. And even if that's handing out papers by floating them to kids, I just think that's funnier, and I think it crushes your anxiety a little bit. I think it makes the kids not so anxious to take the test. And it's just fun. I just like doing it. When students finish early, they have a couple of options. Being on your phone is never an option because there's a test out, and they always respect that. I will have them sometimes, if I just need a moment or two while someone's finishing up, I'll have them draw a picture on the back, and these are pictures of all kinds of goofy stuff. Yesterday's picture was, what's a gift that you always wanted as a kid but you never got? For me, it was that 6-foot G.I. Joe aircraft carrier that my parents never got me, or a Power Wheels car. And if you were spoiled, then it was a picture of something that you got that you couldn't believe you got. Like one kid got a puppy for Christmas 2 years ago, and that was adorable. So having them draw pictures of something, like it just buys you time. So those can be anything from what's a Lego set that's never been created that you think would be awesome, to what is your spirit animal? What 2 animals put together would be the most awesome animal in the world? Superhero power, what would that be? And then what would you look like? What would be the worst superhero power that you could ever have? So you're buying time with something silly. I give 1 point extra credit for the best answer that someone has every week. The class kind of votes on that together. And again, it's just a bit of fun during the day. For guys that finish way early, or for trying to buy time for students that take a long time to take tests, I always have some sort of backup plan, right? The new idea that was 100% cemented yesterday was like, for certain classes in the late afternoon, I need to have some sort of reading activity for them. Something that requires them to be quiet and to be still, and that there's absolutely no reason to have a conversation. Because again, you're trying to buy those students time, because some kids, it just takes a long time for them to test. And sometimes I'm able to pull those kids out and send them off with my co-teacher, and sometimes I'm not because of different variables that are at play. So I find that having some kind of silent activity afterwards really helps with that. Here's one of my favorite points. What do you do when kids have 1,000 questions during the test and you're constantly moving around, and then that causes activity on the other side of the classroom? You got to get down all those aisles and there's like 50 backpacks or football gear or whatever the hell else is in the way. Here's 3 quick ways I deal with questions during tests. 1, if one kid has a question, probably 90% of the students have that same question. So if someone asks what a word means, like yesterday someone wanted to know what the word biblical meant, I just make an announcement. I say, hey, that's a really good question that I just heard. Let me just nip this one and tell everybody what the answer is. And so then I'll just explain that word or that question or that mess up that someone found on the test. So that gets rid of a lot of questions. Another thing that I'll do is I'll tell kids that if you don't see the answer in the multiple choice, maybe I explained it a different way. Maybe you remember this version of the answer, but not this version of the answer. You have 2 options. You can either just pick the best answer and then always have the argument with me after I grade the test. So if you got it wrong, make a little notation, put a star next to it or something so you remember that's what you wanted to talk to me about, and then explain it. I'm always down for the argument. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I mess stuff up. Sometimes I understand, okay, I can see why you would have had that answer. So I'm always open to the conversation afterwards. And you can also just write the answer in. So you don't think it's any of those 4 options, then just write your answer on the side and why you think it's that. And then if you're right, then I give you the credit for it. It's not a big deal. But that helps you having to go over it and have to listen to some kid tell you their whole story as to why they think that that's the answer and why isn't it on there, and then you explaining why it's one of those 4 answers. Then we're still going with that quiet classroom, and you're also lessening the anxiety of the students and empowering them to come up with that answer and like take matters into their own hands. All right, so also all tests can be retaken. All tests are always on Fridays. You can always retake it on Mondays, but it has to be on your time, before school, during lunch, or after school. Now, this helps with a couple of things too. This helps with that kid that missed class all week or was out when you took those notes or didn't know that the assignment was going on. You know, kids that get like really upset about this, that will start like yelling and getting pissed off that they didn't know that this was supposed to happen and that now they're gonna fail the test. Bro, just relax. And this is exactly what I tell them. Look at it as if you're getting to see the test ahead of time. Do your best, see what's on there, and then just retake it on Monday. It's not a big deal. Don't take the L, don't take the 0, just pre-take the test and then make it up on Monday. And that calms almost every single kid down. So if they didn't get the vocab words or they were pulled out of class for something or you forgot to email them, it's like, it's okay. Just take the weekend, study the material. We'll talk about it after class, get you set up for success, and then retake it on Monday. Not a big deal. I thought when I started letting kids retake tests that it would be a big deal. That kids would like be chalking my tests all the time, just showing up and retaking it and doing better. It's not even the case. Like I've never had a student ever like take advantage of that situation. So it's just like, it's worth doing and letting them come in. Plus you want them to do their best. And sometimes there's other tests on Fridays or something happen, and to crunch all this time that you've learned this material down into one single moment that if they freak out they're going to do poorly, this builds an out and allows them to gather themselves and to learn from their mistakes and to do better on Monday. This is how I get around cheating. I almost never have problems in my classes with cheating. 1, most freshmen are terrible at cheating and you see it a mile away. 2, if you cheat, you're not allowed to retake my tests. Now, I tell them you're not allowed to retake them for the rest of the year, which is a lie. Sometimes lies are useful in class. But I say, look, if you don't think you're gonna do well, do not cheat. Instead, take the test now, do your best, and then retake it on Monday. If I find you cheating, you are not allowed to take the retest and you get a 0 on the assessment. And I truly believe that has led to kids not trying to cheat in my class because they see that I'm trying to work with them and not against them. Plus, Like my mom always said, I trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you. Once you lose my trust, it's hard to gain it back. I mean, you can gain it back. Kids have done it a million times over, but it just messes with the relationship, and I find that most students don't want to mess with the relationship. And then, as often as I can, I have guys grade my tests, and I only have certain dudes do it. Like my man Joe or Kev, they sit back at my desk, I give them the key, they mark all the multiple choice, I mark all the essays, or I use something like ZipGrader, which I actually just used it yesterday for the first time because I really don't like Scantrons. I think it makes teachers lazy a lot of times. But for the multiple choice portion, it does make it easier. And even some of the fill in the blank stuff, I just have those guys grade that. And students like doing that. And I bribe them with candy and donuts and crap, and they'll pretty much do anything for food because they're teenage boys. But it works. So, quick question for you. What do you use to help your test routines work better? If you can leave that in the comment section below. This, again, becomes sort of a place of reference. So new teachers, you can come back. You can check this out. You can see what other people are saying and doing, because I am by no means the mastermind of all this stuff. You all might be, though. So share those in the comments below, and that's what I'm thinking of. So gang, I hope you have a great weekend. Planning on doing some Fortniting this weekend, and should probably shave at some point also and fix my hair. I did brush my teeth today, though. Bonus. I think that's it, and I think you're awesome. Thanks, everybody. Peace.